What's up, you guys? It's Lawrence. I'm about to review Brandy and Monica's Verzuz.
Tell me, yeah.
Tell me, are you ready? So tell me, are you ready for me? So tell me, are you ready? Tell me, are you ready?
What's up, girl?
Hello.
Hello. Hey, ladies.
Yes, I wanted everybody to see. I didn't want to say hi.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Excited about tonight, and I just wanted to thank you, ladies. You queens, you stars, you icons. You are, and I love you. I'm just a huge fan of both of you.
Thank
and
you.
it's a wonderful night.
Wow,
Thank
so no, this is unbelievable. I didn't.
Crazy way to kick this
I
off.
know.
I mean, we understand the importance of people getting out and voting.
Voting, yes.
And they feel so helpless right now, but that's how you help yourself. You help your community.
Yes.
You help your brothers
That's
and sisters.
right.
That's what I'm talking about.
So let's get into it. I'm going. Come on.
Why don't you return my calls? Why you tripping where I be? You don't ever come to see me.
I didn't get a chance to release a lot of singles on this song, but this is a fan favorite, produced by Warren Campbell. For everything to me.
Yes. Yes. That's that. When you're in love, this song, ooh,
No.
oh. But the way you sang it, like your tone,
Thank you.
is unmatched. I always say that though.
You showed
Like
it.
all
I've heard you
jokes
say
aside,
that so many
nah,
times. I
straight up,
appreciate you for saying
tone
that.
is unmatched.
Thank you very much.
Unmatched.
Thank you.
And that song is one of those moments where you hear it the entire time. Like
Oh,
it's a
thank you,
vibe
Mo.
the
Thank
whole
you.
time. I'm waiting
Thank
to
you
be
so
able to
much.
sing He Is. You know what I mean? I'm waiting.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying?
On that tour. Sorry, guys. Thanks.
Okay, let's get into it. I'm really excited. This video is long overdue, I know. And if you know me, you already know what side I'm on. Now, okay, but listen. We know we shouldn't choose sides, but we know it's a Brandy world over here. But there's room for both of the ladies in my heart. I enjoy both of the ladies' musics. Do I have any Monica albums? I don't have any Monica albums now because I had a habit of losing albums. Like growing up, if you had CDs, you all know how it is. Her debut album, Miss Thang, I really enjoyed. I have some favorites off of that. I'm going to be reviewing that album, but not in this video. It's one of my favorite Monica albums. Her debut, her second, and I really enjoy Cold Red. But that's a different video. So the first battle, when they started off with What About Us and Everything to Me, man. Well, first of all, before I even talk about round one, let's just talk about how surreal it was to see Brandy and Monica in one spot. You know, I don't want to even say after so long, but it was just something about that moment because we've seen them perform It All Belongs to Me, and we've seen them come together at different times in their careers, but it was just something about this Verzuz, and I really feel like it's because they didn't have a tour. So when this COVID and being in the house and the pandemic and all that stuff settles and it's over, I really foresee a Brandy and Monica tour or a concert, or at least like, a week-long, one night only special or something. I just can't unsee them not having a real concert together where there's a arena. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they could sell out arenas. I feel like that's coming. But anyway. Okay, so for round one, I wasn't expecting Brandy to start it off with What About Us. First of all, Brandy looked amazing. She always looks amazing to me, but that night she really was glowing. The outfit, the jeans with the rips and the butterfly twist that was just honey blonde, and the highlights and her makeup, her smile, everything was just on point. Like I couldn't get my eyes off of her. I was just like, Monica looked real bomb too. Like her outfit reminded me like she was battle ready. Like she looked like she was ready for war, ready for battle, or she just looked like a cadet, or looked like a general sergeant or something, like not even a cadet, like a general sergeant or something, like, because her body just looked real tight in that suit, and she had the long boots, and she just looked like she was just ready to go, what, like, stand up to me. But you know, that's Monica. So for both of them ladies to come together, it was just amazing. Back to round one. So I was expecting round one to start off with like, don't take it personal and I want to be down. But they started off with Brandy's What About Us and Monica's Everything to Me. Now, personally, it was a good round. I wouldn't have chosen Monica's Everything to Me. I would have chosen a different song to kind of like match up with What About Us and the energy of What About Us. I probably would have chosen Get It Off. And if you are a Monica fan, you know what Get It Off is or where that came from. You know, it was written by Missy Elliott. I believe it's on her After the Storm album. I believe it's a B-side to Knock Knock, if I'm not mistaken. So when you watch the Knock Knock video, that's the song that comes on right after. So if you really enjoy music, you really enjoy B-sides, and you enjoy remixes, and you enjoy, like, you know, those little rarities and things like that. So if any Monica song could go up against What About Us, it would be Get It Off. Get It Off. But Brandy's What About Us was really hit it off well. So round two, they had He Is and A Dozen Roses. Okay, so this one was kind of a toughie because He Is didn't really match A Dozen Roses, even though Brandy went it first. But I'm just like, that was a good round. That was a good card for Monica to pull. I always felt like A Dozen Roses was a good single for Monica. I remember when that was like the hottest ringtone at the time, and it was on the 106 countdown, and I remember the video, just her being in this gold and landing. It was just a beautiful video, and I believe it was like a really feminine side of Monica that we've seen. Like, cause we really get to see that. We always see her kind of like, you know, tough, and like I feel like we see like her soft sides, like Angel of Mine and Everything to Me and things like that. But that was later. But for that point in time, for A Dozen Roses, it was pretty good. But if I were Brandy, maybe I would have played He Is later and chosen, I don't know, I can't think. We're just gonna give that round to Monica. We're just gonna give it to Monica. But anyway, both ladies did a good job that round. So round three, they have Full Moon and So Gone. That was a perfect round. Perfect. Those songs perfectly go up together. And you know what? Because now it's bothering me. Now I have to speak on it. I feel like if there was any song that could go up against A Dozen Roses, it would have to be, I would have played Who Is She to You. I would have played that. I would have played, after she played Everything to Me, I would have played Who Is She to You. Anyway, round three, Full Moon and So Gone. That was a perfect round, because So Gone was one of those singles off of Monica's fourth album technically, but I thought it was her third album. I thought it was her Full Moon album, but it wasn't her third album. She had an album called All Eyes on Me before that, which unfortunately was pirated. And like, if you know about like Napster or LimeWire or anything like that, you know, like you could illegally download songs back then. So her album was leaked in 2002, and that album was called All Eyes on Me, which had a couple of songs that, or maybe one or two songs that ended up on After the Storm. But yeah, After the Storm is Monica's Full Moon. So to have Full Moon and a single from After the Storm, So Gone, perfect round. And y'all already know, I hands down, Full Moon got me. But sonically, that was a good battle. Okay, so round four, I Want to Be Down and Don't Take It Personal. Perfect battle. I thought that was going to be how they started out the Verzuz. I thought that was going to be round one. Now, I remember when I first heard I Want to Be Down, and it was just like, it was Brandy's voice that caught my attention, and the beat. You know, that wasn't one of Brandy's songs off of her first album that really like hooked me. It just so happened, you know, at the time my aunt used to buy singles. So she had that single at the time, and that was like one of the singles we would just sit and jam to, and that's how I got introduced to Brandy. I was just like, as a 2 or 3 year old, I was just like, what is this? And who is this? And it just captivated my attention. I already had rhythm, and I could hear and beatbox, you know, at 2 and 3. you know, I Want to Be Down and Best Friend. But I remember when that came out, and it felt like Monica's Don't Take It Personal came out like a couple of years later or a few years later, but I guess it's just how, you know, radio played it. You know, they make, once a song gets popular at around a certain time, it took about maybe like a year before Monica like really kicked that door in, you know, 95. And like most of the 96s, I feel like 96 is when I mostly heard Don't Take It Personal on the radio. I heard Don't Take It Personal and Before You Walk Out of My Life on the radio between like 96 and 98. You know, pretty good. Round 5, Baby and Like This and Like That. Now this is a tough round because Baby is my favorite Brandy song. Like, if you know me, I bump that track from Brandy all the time. Like, when I get up in the morning, I gotta bump it. But it's a perfect round because Like This and Like That, it has that same kind of like groove and swing like Baby does. And I really like This and Like That. So if you ever heard Monica's debut and heard like the way her album flows, you understand Like This and Like That. And the video is pretty hot too, so I thought that round was pretty solid. Round 6, Angel in Disguise and You Should Have Known Better. At this point, I would have played He Is, you know, and then Monica playing You Should Have Known Better. But what happened, happened. But Angel in Disguise, you know, I feel like that song stood out the most. And, you know, they were saying that Brandy took that round when she played Angel in Disguise. But it's just one of those singles. Well, see, there we go. That's my point. It wasn't even a single. It was one of those tracks that it should have been a single. And everybody could agree. Like, even if you didn't listen to Brandy, or if your mom was listening to Brandy and you were too young, or whatever the case may be, you knew Angel in Disguise. Because I remember watching Mad TV and they did like this skit on Brandy. I don't know if anybody remembers this because this skit is super hard to find. But one of the Brandy fans, she was, you know, when she was a young teen, and she was like, Brandy is my angel in disguise. And I was just like, that's not even one of the singles off the album, but they used it as like a pun in like the Mad TV skit or whatever skit it was, Saturday Night Live. It was something back in the day. But I was just like, yeah, like that needs to win. Like when that play, I know everybody's going to be like, thank you. Between the backgrounds that are so like, that echoes and bounces off the walls, and Joe being in the backgrounds, like the way, like it just sounds like it, like sonically, I can't even explain it, because at that time I felt like that sound was so ahead of the game, and I felt like everybody wanted that sound after Brandy pretty much did her work with Rodney Jerkins and crafted that whole Never Say Never sound. Because when you hear Angel in Disguise, you think of the entire Never Say Never album. You're like, God, that's the sound of that album, like carried on into the new millennium. You know, like everybody's album in 2000 sound like Brandy's Never Say Never, really, because everybody wanted to work with Rodney Jerkins. But I feel like that's why that song won. I feel like that song should have been a single. Everybody was anticipating that song to be a single. Everybody was imagining what that video would have looked like. But it happened the way it happened. You know what I think? This sounds pretty silly, but I always like imagine what it would be like if artists could still release videos to their old singles. You know, maybe if artists owned their music, that could be a thing. You know, like if they were gonna re-release like a 20th anniversary special or something, and then like finally did a video too. I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't be here for it, but I'm just like, ugh. Just the thought of Angel in Disguise having a video would be freaking dope, right? Okay, so round 7. You got Missing You from the Set It Off soundtrack and Monica's For You I Will. I have to be honest, Monica took this round. I really enjoyed Missing You. I really loved the video. And I remember when that video was being played out on the box. But it's something about For You I Will. You know, like, and it also ended up on Monica's album, The Boys Line. It's from the Space Jam soundtrack. But it's just like one of those, I feel like that was one of the first Monica songs that kind of like put her in the mainstream. You know what I mean? Because it's like one of those big David Foster, I believe David Foster wrote that song. But it's one of them big songs where it sounds like Whitney Houston could have sang it, or any powerhouse at that time could have sung it. So that was like Monica's first, like, hey, I'm a young, you know, woman of color. I'm an African-American woman, and I'm a powerhouse vocalist. And this is my voice. That's that song felt like. And it was one of those, like, triumphant songs, you know. So I felt like for Monica to be that young and to have a song like that, that's pretty dope. That's pretty big. So, yes, round 7, Monica definitely had that for You I Will. Okay, round 8. Almost Doesn't Count versus Why I Love You So Much. Those two don't even go together. I don't even know why that was even the two songs that they chose. I would have chosen a Monica song from that time period when Almost Doesn't Count was released. Y'all get me? Like, I wouldn't have, like, those are two different eras. Like, they don't even match. But I guess that's why they tied, because it wasn't really a good matchup. Now, round number 9 and round number 10. Well, round number 9, you have Broken Hearted and you have Love All Over Me. Again, it's one of them songs that don't really match. Like, I would have chosen Turn It Up off of Brandy's Aphrodisiac and then Monica's Love All Over Me. Or I would have chosen, like, you know, something. They have so many other songs that wasn't singles that were, like, popular. You know, that was like, that are kind of like known, like Just Another Girl by Monica. Like, I was wishing and hoping that she played that, but she didn't. Round 10, you got Monica with Rick Ross and Lil' Kim, Anything to Find You, and Brandy's Top of the World. Again, those songs don't go together. I feel like when it comes, like, there was a lot of songs in these rounds I felt like could have been, you know, they could have been different songs. I know Brandy's catalog better than I know Monica's catalog, because, like, by her 5th album, it's kind of like fuzzy to me, and I've never listened to All Eyes on Me, so some songs I'm just not really acquainted with when it comes to Monica. But her singles and, like, when it comes to her early work, I've listened to those albums and that work. Round 11, Still Standing and Brandy's Borderline. Okay, I like the fact that they were playing their new music, but y'all could have waited to the end to play the new music. I wouldn't have chosen Borderline to go up against any song yet because it was just dropped. I would have chosen Right Here Departed. Why didn't Brandy play Right Here Departed, or her DJ or her team or whoever was responsible for picking the songs or came to agreement, whatever it was? I feel like Right Here Departed should have been played at some point. It could have really fit right here in this round when Monica played Still Standing, because I felt like Right Here Departed is still from that kind of era when Still Standing was like a thing. Right Here Departed is from Brandy's Humans album. It's a 2008 album that she did when she reconnected with Rodney Jerkins again. It's more of a pop R&B Brandy instead of an R&B soul Brandy, which is still good. I don't think anything is wrong with that album. I just feel like the timing of it, you know, and maybe the people that was a part of her machine at that time probably didn't believe in the album. I don't know what happened or what really the truth is. It's really irrelevant. My opinion really doesn't matter like that, because it's not my album and it's not my business, but I'm one of the consumers, so I kind of like notice, you know, if art isn't being appreciated or if it's good or if it's not, or so on and so forth. And I feel like Human was a good album. It is a good album. And Right Here Departed needs justice. I would have definitely played Right Here Departed after Still Standing. The video was beautiful. Long Distance could have been played. Like, okay, where's that round? There's another round. Okay, well, Monica played Love All Over Me. She could have played Long Distance. That was a really good song. It was written by Bruno Mars. It was a beautiful video. I remember that Human album got me through a lot mentally, but that's a different video. It was a really good album. It was very uplifting for me. So, round 12, Commitment versus Brandy's Love Again. That's perfect because Commitment came out first in 2019, I believe, and then Brandy released Love Again with Daniel Caesar, which was the start of their new eras and new, you know, albums and what we have of them today. You know, Love Again led into Brandy's B7. So that was a perfect round, and I gotta choose Love Again. To be honest, I haven't even heard Commitment. But I know it was number 1, so I know it's good. So, is that even fair? I mean, I still like Love Again. Sorry. But I'm sure Commitment is good. No shade. I'm sure Commitment is amazing. Monica's The First Night versus Brandy's Who Is She to You. Now, I would have paired The First Night with Brandy's Happy from Never Say Never. I wouldn't have paired The First Night with Who Is She to You, because that's like Brandy's later single when she's a little bit older and a little bit, not even older, just more mature and more experienced. So she's talking about different things. Like, who is she to you? No more the boy's mine. Like, who is she? You know, what's going on? So I felt like those songs didn't match. If I had to choose, it would have been The First Night versus Happy. If you look, I'm gonna link the songs that I wish were in the verses between Brandy and Monica in the description, so you guys will know the songs that I'm talking about and the songs that's missing from that I feel are missing and that should have been in the verses battle or would have been a better runner-up song. So you guys just follow along the video and look in the description, because if you haven't heard Happy by Brandy or any of the other Monica songs that I mentioned or any of the Brandy songs that I mentioned, I got you. Don't trip. It's gonna be in the description. The First Night and Who Is She to You, that they said that was a tie. Now had she dropped Happy, because again, Happy was on double platinum. So that was one of those songs where you heard it and you was like anticipating a video or anticipating hearing it on the radio. And I've heard Happy on the radio a few times. I've heard it once at the grocery store and another time, I can't remember the second time I heard it, but I remember specifically hearing Happy at Albertsons at the grocery store. And I was like, they never played this song on the radio. But it's one of them songs, like if you kept up with Brandy at that time, you knew that was like one of them bops. Like if it was played on the radio and it had like one of them Puff Daddy looking videos to it where Brandy was in all this silver and had her little midriff out at the time, because that's what the late 90s was looking at, you know, it would have been hot. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. Look. So let me go back. So round 14 was The First Night versus Who Is She to You. But round 13 was Monica's Slow Jam versus Chris Brown's Put It Down. These songs, again, they don't go together. You know, I would have chosen a single that Monica put out around the time Brandy dropped Put It Down. But Monica won this round because Slow Jam is a phenomenal cover. Like, if you, I'm an Usher fan too. Love Usher. My sister is a bigger Usher fan. Like, she used to have his posters all over the wall. So, if you listen to Usher's second album, My Way, and just didn't skip a track and let that thing flow, and you heard Slow Jam come in, like, their voices blended together, Usher and Monica, that's like some 1970s magic that you can't even capture nowadays. Like, you know, when people do duets nowadays, a lot of stuff is just monotone and just soulless nowadays. But I haven't heard a duet that moved me like that in a while, you know, besides Brandy's Love Again. But seriously, I haven't heard like a romantic duet. It could even be a cover. I haven't heard a cover like that has moved my spirit, you know, because Love Again is not a cover. So yeah, Slow Jams, it's like, that's one of them songs where if you're gonna do it, you want to kind of touch the original a bit and like kind of like tap the original just a little bit on the top of the head, like, you know, I ain't trying to come for you, but I got you. You know, I can do you well. I ain't gonna do you greasy. Other covers, for an example, you got Sweet Thing by Mary J. Blige. Shaka Khan did the original. Shaka Khan's version is phenomenal. But when you hear that Mary J. Blige version, you can't help but to swing, because it's like, not everybody can cover songs and do well. So when it comes to Slow Jam, Monica and Usher's, sorry B, and I still want an Usher and Brandy track. I know like Usher and Monica are known for doing duets together, because even if you go get Monica's first album, there's another Usher and duet on there called Let's Work It Out. And if you get that's Monica's album, right? Yeah, that's Monica's album. On her first album, they have a duet together, and in Usher's second album, they have a duet together. So, but we really need, like, I know we had Usher and Brandy do like the Who Is She to You remix, but I'm talking about a real kind of chemistry connect song. Like, Usher and Brandy's voice will go perfect together, and we know they look good together, y'all. We watched Moesha. We remember the Jeremy and Moesha chemistry, so it's just like that's something that's long overdue. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Usher is like, nah, I ain't really trying to do a thing with Brandy. I don't know what it is, but get it out your mind. Do the dang thing. Do the cover with Brandy. I mean, that would knock. And don't do nothing talking about my body on your body. Like, that's played out. Like, really come with some context in the lyric, okay? Like, let's really get it in here. Let's get some soul music with some meaning and some substance in it. Like, a Usher and Brandy a Usher and Brandy song track together, like, in a beautiful video, the two of them together. I'm here for it. But anyway, Slow Jam takes it from me. And then round 14 is the first night in Who Is She to You. Round 15, you got Knock Knock versus Best Friend. Best Friend. The piano and that song and the bass. It's just amazing. I feel like Best Friend wins because Knock Knock, compared to the impact Knock Knock had and the impact Best Friend had, I feel like Best Friend had a bigger impact. But again, these are two different songs that were released in 2 different decades, so I feel like they should have chosen a Monica song that was released around the time Brandy released Best Friend. Before You Walk Out of My Life versus Sitting Up in My Room in round 16, that was perfect because you had those songs released in the same year, like Sitting Up in My Room at the end of 95, Before You Walk Out of My Life around the summertime. I think that was a good battle. That was a really good battle. And then you had the next battle, Every Time the Beat Drops versus Talk About Our Love. I really liked every time the beat dropped. It was very different from Monica. But I thought it was a very catchy song. Like, I remember, like, when that kind of music was becoming popular in mainstream, like that ATL Dirty South crunk sound, like, so when that came out, I was just like, oh, Monica doing the thing. Like, you know, because she can be up there with Sierra, because Sierra had goodies, and, you know, you had the Yin Yang Twins and Petey Pablo, you know, so I felt like she fit. And then that's when it had first hit me that she wasn't from LA. I don't know why I had it in my head that she was from LA, but when I heard Every Time the Beat Drop, that's when I found out, oh, she's an Atlanta chick. She's an ATL girl, Georgia Peach. So I really like that song, but Brandy's Talk About Our Love took the cake. I really like Talk About Our Love. I remember when Aphrodisiac came out. It was so slick. I didn't even know Brandy had a new album. My mom had the album before I even knew there was a single out for Aphrodisiac, before I even knew the name of the album. I looked at one of my sisters mentioned, oh, have you heard Brandy's new album? And I was just like, what? So my mom picked it up, and I'm looking at the back because she used to take the pictures out and put it in her little CD holder. And I was like, wow, she looks so different. And I was just like looking at her beautiful, long, wavy hair. And I was just like, wow, she's really not going back to the braids. Because I remember when she first came out of braids, and I was just like, no, just do one more album with the braids first. Don't do it too soon. But she looked beautiful and gorgeous, you know, either way. And when that album dropped, I remember my mom was playing Aphrodisiac, the album, you know, and bobbing her head to it before I was even like, let me go get that Brandy album. So, yeah, Talk About Our Love. I remember when that used to be on the TRL countdown, and you used to have to vote, like, which video is going to win? Which video do y'all want to see? And Talk About Our Love will always win. Like, I used to love that kind of stuff. So, Sideline Ho versus Brandy's Put That on Everything. See, I wouldn't have chosen Sideline Ho. See, maybe if you're from the Bay Area, you know Sideline Ho. Or if you're a real Monica fan, you know Sideline Ho. But to the most of us, and if you're not me, because obviously I sneak and I don't even sneak. I sometimes listen to Monica because, you know, she came out around the same time as Brandy. And I like a lot of female artists from the 90s that came around, you know, before and after Brandy. So I've heard that song, but it's not, I don't remember what album that came from. I don't remember what song comes after that because I didn't listen to the album. Like, it just didn't click. I didn't connect with that song. I would have chosen Street Symphony. That's what I would have chosen to go against Put That on Everything. Street Symphony needs some love, Monica. That was a bomb video. It's an amazing single. And y'all know the Boy Is Mine album should have been called Street Symphony by Monica. But that was the business at the time. Her record company had a lot to do with that. But I wouldn't have called the album The Boy Is Mine. I would have named it Street Symphony. And, you know, Brandy's album remained Never Say Never. It's as good as it is. But, whatever. If we could have do-overs, I'm sure they probably would change the title of that album. But anyway, round 19, When You Touch Me versus Keisha Cole's Trust. Sorry, When You Touch Me wins. Do we really have to discuss that? Sorry. I love Keisha. It's just not my favorite Keisha Cole song. And I like Keisha and Monica's voices together, but I really felt like the context of the song and the song could have just been stronger. Like, it sound like, that song sound like Keisha could have sung that by herself. You know, I don't know, that just didn't sound like it needed Monica on it, or needed any other female vocals on it. Like, Keisha could have done that by herself, and they could have had a stronger song together. Like, I don't know, but hey, that's why that's Keisha's song and not my song. You know, when my time comes, I will do my thing. But When You Touch Me obviously took the cake for that. And the last round, you got Just Right For Me versus Brandy's Have You Ever. Now, if you bought or listened to or streamed Monica's Code Red, you know Just Right For Me. And I like that song. I like a lot of the songs from that album, like All Men Lie. I enjoyed Code Red. I enjoyed Music. Deep, I think there's a song on there called Deep. I could be wrong, but I felt like Code Red was a decent album. I really did. And it is a decent album. So Just Right For Me versus Have You Ever? Sorry, Have You Ever takes it. Even though that, you know, Just Right For Me is a wonderful track. So if you haven't heard Just Right For Me, I'm gonna link that in the video anyway, because I just feel like that track needs a little more love. That's a good track. And they played that on the radio quite often. I used to hear them when I used to go to Target. I used to hear it all the time on the radio, and I used to hear a lot of Code Red songs played at Target. But yeah, in totality, I feel like the Verzuz was good. I feel like that was our prelude to a Brandy and Monica concert, aka a Brandy and Monica tour, and I want to see more of that. We're always going to want to see Brandy and Monica together as long as these two ladies are living, and as long as the two of them can sing The Boy Is Mine. So they had some bonus rounds where they sung The Boy Is Mine together, and they sang at the end. I just thought it was just a beautiful moment between the two ladies. I didn't really sense any attitude or any shade. I just feel like Monica is Monica and Brandy is Brandy. I feel like when Brandy was pulling out her notebook and like reciting her poetry, I just felt like it was beautiful. Like you have to understand, like when Brandy came out, people were telling her who to be. Like, you're the girl next door. You're the perfect girl next door. So stay in that bubble. So for her to be what she is now, and to just be expressive just by writing poetry and what's on her mind, it's just like full circle, full moon, right? 360. But that's my review for the Brandy Monica Verzuz. I'm going to be doing more reviews on more albums and music, and I'm going to do the Keisha Cole and Ashanti one. That's the most recent one. I felt like I couldn't do the Keisha Cole and Ashanti review before I did Brandy and Monica's, because Brandy, it's a Brandy world to me. It's a Brandy world to me, and if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, you guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.